bless our troops. God bless America. And gentlemen, start your engine.
Midnight, damn, I wound up too tight. I got a fistful of whiskey, the bottle just bit me. Oh, that shit makes me batshit crazy.
Barney the flagman with the green in hand, getting ready to throw it.
No fear, no doubt, all in my
There it is. Green is called for, and we're underway for the first race of the season of the ProSim Racing Alliance.
take anything we want, drink everything inside. We burn it to the ground tonight. Taking like a time bomb,
Contact!
drinking
Big time
till the
trouble!
night's gone. We'll get you
The caution is out. We've got trouble again.
last call my ass.
And there's trouble behind on the last lap. 3 wide for the race lead.
Won't stop.
These drivers are giving everything they have to win this final race. And there he goes to the inside in turn 1.
Take anything we want, drink everything inside. We're going till the world stops turning while we burn it to the ground tonight.
Under the shadow of the mountains of northwest of Tokyo, a racetrack unlike any other comes into focus. A place where engineering, ambition, and beats raw speed. Built by Honda in the late 90s, twin-ring Motegi was carved into the landscape on a massive scale, creating a motorsports facility unlike anything else in the world. But tonight it's all about the oval. 1.5 miles of asphalt, an unusual egg-shaped layout, and 2 ends of the racetrack that couldn't be more different. Turns 1 and 2 are fast and sweeping, a place where momentum matters and confidence can make the difference. Then everything changes. Turns 3 and 4 tighten dramatically, demanding heavy braking, precision, and the ability to launch off the corner with grip. It's a rhythm that's easy to lose and difficult to master. And for the PSRA Truck Series, there's another question tonight. Who can figure out the racetrack that nobody knows? Drew Blaze arrives in Japan with momentum on his side after finally breaking through for his first win of the season. But now he rolls into completely unfamiliar territory, a track where experience is limited, the racing lines are unknown, and everyone starts this challenge with a clean slate. At Motegi, speed alone won't be enough. One end rewards bravery, the other demands patience, and with every lap, the drivers will have to learn this place the hard way. A new track, a new challenge, and a winner looking to prove his breakthrough wasn't just the beginning. It's the PSRA Truck Series Rising Sun 145, and it's next on Track Limits Network. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the virtual Twin Ring Motegi. I'm Steve Singer, joined in the broadcast booth by analyst Chris Goins. How we doing, Chris?
I'm doing well, Steve. Looking forward to this race tonight. Unique track, and looking forward to getting it going.
It's honestly a track that not a lot of series or leagues in iRacing tend to go for, but it's one that I'm kind of glad that they chose. I personally really enjoy it. I've had limited success here in just a couple of races. Didn't get the win quite, but I let it off at turn 4. But it's a fun racetrack. It is very unique. You really need to utilize the brakes to corner well here. Very unique one end to the next, as we talked about in the open. Drivers will be shifting gears even in turns 3 and 4, and then completely change things up at the opposite end of the speedway. Track, most people will say it's kind of like a New Hampshire that's a little offset. I guess you could call it a Darlington that's flat. Maybe mix in a little bit of Gateway there as well. But going to be a challenge for these drivers here tonight.
Yeah, I'm like you mentioned, I don't have a ton of experience here because a lot of leagues don't race here. Looking at it, studying it a little bit beforehand, it did kind of give me the Gateway vibe, so I'm glad you mentioned that, and hopefully we'll see what these guys can do here.
Race details for tonight: 97 laps the distance. They'll have 3 sets of tires over the wall. A 75% load of fuel on board should yield 35 to 42 laps on a full tank if we can get there under green flag conditions. No fast repairs. Pit road speeds 45 miles per hour. We'll have to keep an eye on that. 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if necessary. Weather-wise, 77 degrees, 74% humidity, cloudy skies. It should help keep the track relatively consistent temperature-wise, which is hovering at about 105 degrees Fahrenheit. Fast time so far, to no one's surprise, Drew Blaze. He said it himself. He didn't even have the track when we talked to him last week, but here he is, the fastest, 36.742, a pretty considerable jump above Corey Bigley. Just about 2/10 faster than the next closest guy. And I guess that's not a terrible surprise, given that Drew Blaze really comes to us from the dirt world, where adaptation to changing track conditions is something that he would excel at. New racetrack, you got to learn it all over again. Comes up to speed pretty quick.
Yeah, absolutely. In my experience with Drew, I mean, he's fast everywhere, but like you mentioned, he kind of reminds me of kind of what we talked about before. He's like the Joey Logano when it comes to new tracks. He goes out there, he finds the edge of it, and he's usually pretty fast. He's usually really good at like the technique tracks too, the braking, off throttle time, stuff like that. He's usually pretty solid around these places.
Well, we're about to find out who's fast in qualifying here in just a moment as the practice session comes to a close. Drew Blaze fastest with Corey Bigley, Rodney Roberts rounding out the top 3. Will Jones, Bobby Hamilton Jr., the top 5. But let's get right into qualifying here, see who has the fastest time to at least start this race. It looks like Drew Blaze isn't going to waste any time. Will he roll off first? Drew lighting up the tires and shaking the front end there, trying to get some friction underneath him, build some heat in those tires, some air pressure. We're going to watch the whole 2 laps here with Drew, see if lap 1 is quicker than lap 2. It's not always a guarantee, but usually a good indicator with our fast guy in practice. Really playing with the throttle there off turn number 4. Man, he carries a lot of throttle down into turn 1. Corner exit speed about 150 miles an hour off turn number 2. Gonna be hard on the brakes here down the backstretch into 3. Downshift as well. 108. I think 108 the slowest we saw mid-corner. 130 center corner off. 140 on exit as he's back to the power. Lap 1 in the books for Drew Blaze. 4th quick. Will Jones the fastest, 36.895. Tom Janikowski in the chat again, waving the checkered flag. Thanks for coming back, saying, hey, Tommy. Drew Blaze back to the main straightaway. We'll cross the start-finish. Lap 2 goes P3, 36.867. Will Jones still the top of the board. Bobby Jr. second quick. Now on to Ken Couch, LSR teammate to Drew Blaze. 9th quick on his first lap, 37.387 as he drops now to 10th. Brian Rose a quick lap into P4, and I think Ken might be done here. Indeed, he is. Rodney Roberts now, 3rd quick in practice. Really wide racetrack here, too. I don't know if those lines will be as plentiful as they look like they could be in the race. Certainly could see 3 wide. I don't know if you'll see 4 wide, but certainly down the back stretch you might end up seeing that, but you're going to have to funnel everybody down into that braking zone into turn 3, so it could be Calamity Corner here today. As Rodney wraps up, he goes P1, 36.650 for the 28. A good lap there for Rodney Roberts. Kimber 8th quick on his first lap. He's out of turn 4. Improves to 7th, 36.885. Stephen Luttrell, 37.187. Sliding it off of 4, he scrapes the wall. Actually, that's turn 2. We'll see if he actually gets dinged for that, if this lap will end up counting or not. It's a shame there, Chris, because if it weren't for the safer barrier, I don't think he would have hit anything.
Yeah, they, one thing that I did notice here in the sim is they have kind of loosened up the reins a little bit when it comes to the 0X touching the wall. I don't know if he got it there or not, but
he got it.
But you can actually touch it a little bit now without actually classifying a 0X, so your qualifying doesn't always get.
Corey Bigley now goes P6 to second row with third, 36.694. 15 seconds left in the session. Austin Grewell on the clock, 37.104. He's going to run out of time here, Chris. That does it. Qualifying
so
complete.
Close.
Rodney Roberts, top of the board. So with that, let's get to our starting grid. On the pole position with a lap time of 36.650 seconds. It's the number 28 of Rodney Roberts. Outside pole, missed it by 29 thousandths of a second. The 46 of Will Jones, another driver I'm not surprised to see at the top of the leaderboard. Row 2, it's Corey Bigley and Josh Ingram. Row 3 belongs to David Bradford and Bobby Hamilton Jr. Row 4, it's Drew Blaze and Will Hewitt. Row 5, Keenan Kimber and Brian Rose. Starting 11th, it'll be the 86 Outcast Motorsports entry of Cole Ansley. Mike Fahey will start from the 12th position. 13th starter, it's Matt Nicholson. 14th from LSR will be the 40 of Austin Grewell. Vincent Short in the 15 will start 15th. Stephen Luttrell from Luttrell Racing will start from the 16th spot. Ken Couch, 17th. Jason Steptoe will roll off 18th. Cameron Hageman, pole speed last week, 19th today. 20th is Peyton Wagoner. 21st is Chris Lannis. 22nd goes to Brandon Minnick, back behind the wheel here at Motegi. Good to see him. Mark Truxell will start 23rd. Frank Griffith, 24th. Shotgun on the field, the 71 of Alan DeFries. It's your starting grid here for the Rising Sun 145. Field about ready to roll off here. And good to see Brandon Minnick back behind the wheel. Battling leukemia. And kicking butt at the same time. Went out for a donut run this morning and unfortunately plinked a deer on the way back. You got to look at the bright side of things, Chris. At least he was out driving out, getting stuff for himself and the kid.
Absolutely, yeah. It's good to see him back. And a lot of experience racing with Brandon. Always a good time. Kind of the jokester on the track too. So glad to have him back and see that he's able to be out here and have a good time with us.
So field rolling off. Stage break will be at the completion of lap 25. If you notice on the little short timing and scoring at the top left of your screen, we finally figured out how to make that work. And it's not that it was complicated. I just needed to type in the lap. Dave Warmoth in the chat. What's up, fellas? Got my cooler ready for some racing. Cooler's getting a workout. Well, Chris, you got a pick?
I was getting ready to ask you the same thing. I'll tell you what, I'll let you pick this time first.
Oh, man, I'm going to go with the 46 of Will Jones. I know I've picked him a lot here this season, but between the luck, this being a new racetrack, maybe it'll turn around for him. We'll go with Will Jones.
I shouldn't have let you pick first because that's who I was going to pick. You know what? Even though he didn't have the best qualifying, he was super fast in practice. I'm going to go with that 9 of Drew Blaze.
Solid pick as the pace car comes to pit lane. Field on the main straightaway. Barney's got the green in hand, and we are racing in Japan. Will Jones loses the nose off the exit of turn number 2. Roberts jumps up back to the race lead. Corey Bigley, Josh Ingram, the top 4 unchanged into turns 3 and 4. Lots of room to race here at Motegi. Drew Blaze alongside David Bradford. This for the 6th position. Blaze started 8th, already up 1, looking for a 2nd.
Caution.
And we've got trouble.
Did a good job, bud. Tell me what you got quickly.
Brandon Minnick. Early trouble for the 81. Oh, Grewell came down. Might have gotten some help from the 36 of Luttrell. We'll have to go back and take another look, but it sends Minnick down the racetrack nose first into the inside wall off of turn number 2. Tough start for the return of Brandon Minnick. Yeah, Chris, looks like the 40 of Grewell there just started to lose the back end of the truck. I don't think Luttrell made any contact there. May have pulled a little air off to kind of make it worse, but that's about it.
Yeah, these early laps with these cold tires, you get in the throttle too hard, it kicks that tail end around a little bit. Probably didn't help with the 36 on his spoiler. Certainly 36 did nothing wrong there. It just, kind of lightens that downforce and gets him a little sideways. And we see the aftermath with Minnick. Hopefully, I don't see any smoke coming out from the back of that Ford F-150, but hopefully he can sit there and get some of the damage fixed and get back out there and be competitive.
Quick stop and go for Mark Truxell topping off the tank. Austin Grewell does come to pit lane as well. Maybe a little bit of nose damage. Albert Anderson in the chat says, I'm picking Bradford for the win. Dave Warmoth going with the 36 to Steve Luttrell. It's a good sleeper pick, honestly. This isn't really a short track by anyone's imagination, but it's got some of those characteristics, especially down at the end of the racetrack in turns 3 and 4. In case you missed the race details, we did get it on the pace lap there. 97 laps the distance. 3 sets of tires over the wall. They've got 75% fuel on board. That window pretty large, 35 to 42 laps. There's no fast repairs. The pit road speed's 45 miles an hour. It is a somewhat tricky pit road to get onto. And there are 3 attempts at a green-white checkered finish if we need it. We talked about the track temp coming onto the air this afternoon at 105 degrees. It's now down to 92, so we may see some quicker lap times here, at least on fresh tires as this race goes on. Old Nikki Short's back in the chat. Nikki's been jumping in our broadcast for the better part of 6 years now, cheering on Vince for the win. Got Braden McLean doing the same. So field on the 1 to go as they work out of turn number 2, doubled up. Brandon Minnick still sits stationary in pit lane. As he does roll off, though. He's going to come back down and take another crack at get this thing a little bit straighter. And I think he shut it off, Chris.
That's unfortunate for that, for him on his comeback there. You know, hoping to get some time in the seat and get back to it, and hopefully he'll be back again with us.
Green flag back in the air. Roberts hammers on the gas. Jumps out. Will Jones has an opportunity here. Does he stay there? He's going to stay there as Roberts comes up, get a better entry to the corner. Racetrack, again, we've said it a couple of times, so wide here at Twin Ring Motegi. Can really pull a big arc coming in. Ooh, one car in the fence. I think it was Cameron Hageman. No, Frank Griffith. Got into the turn 2 wall on exit. Kept it straight, but they're spinning ahead of them. There's another caution. The 7 and Nicholson goes around. Ken Couch in this as well. So is Cameron Hageman. And very quickly back under the yellow flag. Vincent Short in it also. Don't see a ton of damage on the 15. Maybe a little on the right front fender. This is happening ahead of the 15. Nicholson's coming around. Vince doing all he can to hang on to it. Steptoe stepping out. Vince is stepping out. Will Hewitt trying to straighten it up. Oh, there it is. Right front fender. Oh, it was the 56 that came around first.
I think there was like 3 different wrecks at the same time there, Steve.
Trying to find the first one.
Yeah, I think they all kind of happened at the same time. I think the 7 went around, which was that may have been a product of the.
I think I found it.
Of the 56.
Hewitt into the 19.
And the 56 was already around behind them. Or sideways, I should say. I don't think he actually ever fully went around. Then you had the 7, the 08, and the 24 getting together back behind these guys.
And Minnick went around again with that too. Might have been just standing on the brakes trying to avoid. Yep. Locked him right up. Better to spin it out than to run into that mess.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Compound the damage he already has from the first one.
Angry Chef Racing in the chat says, I bet Steven is happy. I built the set tight right now. Talking about Steven Luttrell.
I think I'm in the minority here, Steve, but I prefer my truck or whatever I'm driving to be a little tight. I think everybody else likes it a little bit loose, but I would prefer a tight race car all day.
I don't know. I tend to like to sit on the right rear when I can, but a setup that starts off relatively tight, sliding the nose, and then kind of builds loose throughout the run, that I like, because if you're one of those drivers that wants to take care of the tire over the course of the long run, you are like Superman at the end of that run just because of that. The truck kind of comes to your liking. You can kind of hang the right rear out and use a little bit of side force where everybody else started off loose and they're doing all they can just to hang on to the truck. Jimmy Johnson was a guy that liked to... No, Jeff Gordon was a sit on the right front instead of the right rear. So if Gordon could do it, he made it work.
I was going to say, we see how well that worked out for them, right?
Well, two completely different driving styles, and that was always the conversation over at Hendrick Motorsports when Gordon wasn't running so great, but Jimmy Johnson was sweeping the floor with everybody. They'd put Jimmy's set in Jeff's car, and he's like, I can't even drive this thing.
Yeah, it's funny how you can run the same track and in a same spec type car with different setups, and drivers do not like it.
Angry Chef Racing says, hey, Dave, throw me a beer. Yeah, why don't you send the broadcasters a couple while you're at it?
Green flag.
Green back in the air. Let's try it again. Roberts jumps away just like he did the last time. I think a little bit better this time. He'll come back up the racetrack in front of Will Jones. They roll down into turn number 1. Side by side behind him. Bobby Hamilton Jr. on the inside, the number 25. Corey Bigley up top. And it's Bradford and Drew Blaze side by side behind them. Connection issues for Keenan Kimber again. We've seen that happen over the course of the season. Three wide. Bobby Jr. on the bottom, Bigley in the middle, Blaze going around the high side. They'll split the 58. Bobby going way up the racetrack. Might have been some contact with the leaders as well as Rodney Roberts and Will Jones were doing battle. Jones loses a lot of momentum. He'll slide back to about 4th. Drew Blaze now losing some connection. That's a rarity. Now Bigley applying pressure to the 46. Man, yeah, there's a lot of racing room here, Chris. This is going to be fun if we can stay green.
Absolutely. There's just so many different lines that you can take. And these guys are just searching around for grip, searching around for space. These things get real tight up behind each other too. So you'll see people stepping out just to get the truck to turn a little bit.
On board with Bobby Hamilton Jr. from the front, looking back at Rodney Roberts and Drew Blaze. That's 2nd and 3rd. Bradford now makes the move way high. He's going to have a run on exit if he can make it work. Blaze jumps up to the 2nd spot. Will Jones has recovered a bit. He's back to 4th. Roberts swaps lanes, looks back to the inside of Drew Blaze down the main straightaway. And we were talking about loose setups. Here comes the sun.
If it was loose before, it's loose now. Looser now.
Do-do-do-do-do. Bobby Jr. just ran the fastest lap of the race, a 36.99. We're about 12 laps in. That is impressive in itself. As quickly as the sun showed its face, it's hiding behind the cloud a little bit here. Mixed sun and shade here on the main straightaway in a battle again here. 3 wide down into 1. Will Jones will get 2 for the price of 1, or will he? I think he's got it, Chris. Slides up in front of Drew Blaze. Blaze is really hustling that truck. $12 laps to go in the stage. Everybody trying to get those precious points. This the battle behind race leader Bobby Hamilton Jr. Will Jones 2nd, Blaze 3rd, Bradford 4th, Rodney Roberts in 5th for the time being. Unless Corey Bigley can take it away. Ryan Rose started in the 10th spot. Drew Blaze checks up big time. Up the racetrack, Bigley. It threw him off considerably. What in the world?
Wait, this is going, Steve. You think this was the last 10 laps? As wild as it's been, it's fun to watch, and all these guys are putting on a heck of a show here early.
Well, last 10 laps of the stage at least. There's points to be earned, so that's what these guys are fighting for. It's the only thing that I really love about the stage racing is it kind of forces some late action a little bit earlier in the race. Bobby's checked out, though. 1.1 back to Will Jones. Jones putting a little bit of a gap on third place David Bradford. Blaze runs fourth. Let's give a call to Steven Luttrell. We talked about that tight setup. He has gained 9 positions so far. He's up to 7th in that number 36 truck, working his way around Corey Bigley, who has been fast. He's dropped 5 positions. Man, these guys are just fighting for grip out there. These trucks do not want to stay on the bottom of the racetrack.
Yellow, yellow.
And caution is out for Frank Griffith. Quickly tows to pit lane, and we're under caution for the 3rd time. And this caution coming out within 10 laps of the stage break. This will ultimately become our stage. Catching it a little late here. Frank's already in the fence at this point. We're going to rewind it. I know it's not ideal. Oh, the 03 of Lannis. That look like too much rear brake to you, or too much wheel, or a combination of the two?
It looked like it honestly, it kind of looked like a missed
Downshift?
missed braking point. No, missed braking point, and then trying to overcompensate for that. Too hard in the brakes, and he may have, like you said, may have had too much rear brake in it there. But I think it was just a late brake, and it threw him off.
We'll go on board here with Lannis, see if the sounds of the race car tell a different story. Yeah, it was right on the downshift.
Yeah, just a little bit too early.
We always talk about wheel hop on the road courses, but Chris, is that something you could potentially induce in that situation? It's a heavy braking zone, even though we're on an oval. If you don't rev match perfectly, the rear end housing starts hopping on the racetrack, and around he went.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Especially with the RPMs that these guys are turning at the end of the straightaway. I mean, if you're downshifting too early, you throw those revs way back up there, going down into 3rd gear, and it will cause it to hop and wheels to spin, and you get exactly what just happened there.
Few drivers taking an opportunity to come down and take some tires. Colt Ansley is one of them. 4 tires and fuel. He's burned 1 set, almost comes around and gets into Mike Fahey getting out of his pit box. Looks like Truxell and Fahey and Colt Ansley came down to take fuel and tires. So those 3 on an alternate cycle here. They'll end up starting a little bit deeper in the field, though ahead of a handful of trucks that have been involved in various incidents here this afternoon. Truxell will restart 14th, it appears. Mike Fahey 15th, and Ansley 16th. Brandon Minnick, though, still on the racetrack. Gotta give him an attaboy because he is still on the lead lap. And you know what, Chris? Truck looks pretty good.
It does, and he's on the lead lap and everything. So don't count him out for a decent finish here.
So I believe that will end up being our stage break. I think that was the rule that was recently enacted, that if the caution comes out within 10 laps of the stage, they would just count that as the stage break and then continue on, rather than throw another caution in just a couple more laps. The Florida Academy Cup Series that we covered last Thursday, they do theirs within 5 laps. which it's really too soon to tell, Chris. I'm not sure if one's better than the other, but it does make sense. I'm glad certainly that the Real World Cup Series went to something like that rather than be under the yellow flag for 20 minutes.
Exactly. That's the main thing, is you try to get as much racing in as you can.
Green.
And that's important.
Green back out here at Motegi. Man, Chris, I really love this racetrack. It's big enough. You got a big draft, especially with the hole these trucks punch in the air. You've got a braking zone. You've got a high-speed set of corners. You've got a little mix of everything. It's basically like Japan's Pocono, but it's not triangular.
Yeah, and I was just sitting here watching these guys come through the middle of 1 and 2 and come off the corner, and with as wide as the track is, the radius of the corner is not nearly the same, but it kind of reminds me of like a Michigan type, just, you know, kind of with the banking the way it is, they can kind of spread out and get the runs, and still have to utilize the draft coming off. So it kind of reminds me of just like a sharper radius Michigan for that, and then the other end obviously completely different. You know, you're looking at, like we mentioned, something like Gateway or even just a wide kind of Darlington style.
Now, Chris, you may or may not know, correct me if I'm wrong, but I believe they've actually started demolition of this speedway. They suffered a pretty significant earthquake in the last year or so, and instead of fixing the place, I think they've decided to take out the speedway.
I did not know that. That is unfortunate, because I know, like, if I'm not mistaken, IndyCar used to run here quite a bit too, did they not?
Yeah, IndyCar ran this on a regular season race. I think it's the site of Danica Patrick's only IndyCar Series win. And I'm pretty sure the Cup Series ran an exhibition race here many years ago. I want to say late 90s, early 2000s.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. I know there's a lot of history with this track, so it's unfortunate to see it kind of see its end in that way.
Caution.
And caution out again.
What can we do to try to help it if we do get another restart?
Well, we thought that was going to be the stage break, the previous caution, but lap 25, the yellow comes back out. And I don't see any particular reason for it. Maybe Peyton Wagoner. I'm not getting an indicator of a crash, but he's got some damage, and he's kind of by his lonesome, so let's see if we can find out. Pretty well damaged. You know, Chris, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Well,
even that damage could have been from, you know, hitting the wall coming out of 4 or something like that too, and we just didn't see it.
Could have been existing, but man, I really thought that they went within 10 laps. Maybe they've switched it to 5. See if I can dig through some announcements here and see if I can find it. But nonetheless, caution's out either way. 4th time today. Pit lane is open.
That could explain why you only saw a handful of guys come in and take tires that previous caution. They were trying to gain as many spots as they could for the last short run for the stage. And now I think you'll see those guys stay out, if I'm most likely.
Likely going to be 4 tires and fuel up and down pit road, but those drivers that pit under caution 3, Mike Fahey, Cole Ansley, they're going to stay out this time. Truxell does come back down, and I think he's going to take 4 tires again. So I did find it in the PSRA rules. They did update it, but it was to 5 laps. So the 10 laps was incorrect. The caution came out within 5 laps. They would count that as the stage. The third caution of the race came out with, I believe, 7 laps to go in the stage. So that's why we didn't count it. This is the stage break, so no tore up race trucks to worry about this time.
And we do see a little, different pit strategies here from this with Fahey and Colt and every, those guys staying out. We'll see what a couple of lap older tires do, which, some of these guys could use that information for later on in the race as well.
So we see Austin Grewell come into pit lane. That may have just been a top up there, Chris. Figures he's at the back of the pack anyway. Might as well get a little extra gas.
Yeah, that is exactly what it looked like, because I didn't see any real damage on there for him to fix, and that shorter period of time, you're not fixing much.
So field doubled up behind the iRacing pace car, bringing them back to green. It's going to be Mike Fahey, Colt Ansley.
This is something I don't think we've seen so far, is the leader taking the outside, if I'm not mistaken. So we'll see how that works out for Mike.
I mean, on the restart, with as fast as they run through turns 1 and 2, I don't think it's a bad call. Put it up on the top lane, carry the momentum down the backstretch. It sets you up for a good turn 3. We'll see if it works. David Warmouth, though, in the chat says, what's the fuel mileage? 75% load, Dave, and that should yield 35 to 42
Green flag.
laps. Colt Ansley playing a little gamesmanship on the restart, stacks up the inside lane. And it worked out well for Mike Fahey, as he'll have the lead on a turn number 2. Will Jones knocking on the door of Colt Ansley. Bradford lost the nose a bit, shot him up the racetrack. Plenty of room to do it. Manages to stay ahead of the 28 of Rodney Roberts. Has a big run down the backstretch. He's going to push the 86 of Ansley down into turn 1. Bobby Jr. now to 3rd. Will Jones still 2nd. Fahey with the lead by about 3/10. Oh, and there's trouble. Alan DeFries goes around.
Caution. Save. How was your car?
It's happening off of turn number 4. Him and Grewell come together. Short, nowhere to go. He'll plow in there. Matt Nicholson gets a piece of it also. Up the racetrack again. Short. Hageman will get him in the right side. That was a big one.
Yeah, it looks like, I don't know if it happened before that. It looks like DeFries may have just got a little loose coming out of 4 and just 40 nowhere to go. And, with these guys running so close together, it just it's how it happens. Stacks everybody up.
Just lost it.
Yeah, got up there in that as wide as this track is, I think you probably starting to see some of those marbles in 3 and 4, because those guys do like to run the kind of the bottom, maybe the second lane, but that's probably the highest I've seen somebody here all night run that lane, and it's probably kind of dirty up there.
What a save by Mark Truxell. I don't think he made contact. We're going to go on board and watch it.
It's got some quick hands, Steve.
Well, see if he takes the top again. I'm going to go ahead and assume he will. There's your big movers so far. Mike Fahey will restart as the leader again. He noses up in front there. It'll show the accurate positions gained of 11 for the number 19. Brandon Minnick now into the top 10. He's 12 spots gained from where he started, and he's had some difficulties in the early running here, but he's still behind the wheel. Got the repairs made to his truck. Minnick will restart to the outside of Stephen Luttrell as the field's off turn 4, waiting for the green.
You ready? Green flag.
There it is. Battle for second out of turn number 2. Will Jones on the bottom. Drew Blaze up top. Rodney Roberts with a run down the back. He'll make it 3 wide. Thought about it. Swaps lanes to the top again. Didn't quite have the run that he thought he had. Dave Warmoth in the chat says, does the whole field get to choose or just the leaders? In this particular series, it's just the leader. Leader can choose bottom or top. Everybody else has to start where they need to restart. And Rodney Roberts is getting a run off turn 2 every time.
Will had a big wiggle getting in 3 and loose off of 4. He's really fighting. Looks like he's probably fighting the handle of that truck a little bit, but he's still able to pull up alongside Drew here and see if he can dive it out into 1.
Will Jones, Drew Blaze still battling for that second position as they ride behind Mike Fahey. Will Jones sliding up. Crowds the 9 off the exit. In typical Drew Blaze fashion, he doesn't lift. Oh, Blaze gets the wall, exit of turn 4. Will Jones steps out of line, looking for the race lead, dives into the bottom of the racetrack, under braking into turn 3. Fahey slides the rear end on entry, and he hangs on to it, but it's going to open the door for Drew Blaze for second. Will Jones to the lead, off turn number 4, down the main straightaway. Blaze will settle in behind teammate Mike Fahey. Rodney Roberts, though, seeing an opportunity, he'll jump to the bottom on the 9. Bobby Hamilton Jr. now going to take advantage. He wants that position from Drew Blaze. Gets up into the 4th spot. Drew's going to battle back on the top down into 3. Now Roberts takes second. Yeah, Chris, Fahey's starting to lose the handle on that truck. On exit last couple of times, he's really chasing the tail. I don't know if that's just him warming up that right rear tire on that slide into 3 when he was fighting with Will Jones, but it does not want to stay in the racetrack.
Yeah, I was getting ready to mic up and say the same thing to you there, Steve. You noticed it as well. He really had that big slide getting into 3. And you're seeing a couple of these guys do it, but I think that really did heat up that right rear. You see him kind of fighting it, and that truck yawed out a lot there in 3-4.
Race leader Will Jones out just over half a second over Rodney Roberts. Bobby Hamilton Jr., Drew Blaze, Mike Fahey. That's the current top 5. Then it's on to Keenan Kimber, Brian Rose, David Bradford, Stephen Luttrell, Corey Bigley, the top 10. Battle between Rose and Kimber, it seemed. Or was Kimber just losing connection? Checking back on Brandon Minnick. Slipped a little bit here to 13th since the restart. Working on Jason Steptoe. It's Cameron Hageman down on the apron of the racetrack. Hageman shown in 22nd. 16 laps down, was caught up in an accident earlier on. David Warma says the 28 reminds me of the 3-cheat Kyle Busch scheme. It's very similar, at least the color scheme.
These guys come off of 4, Steve. It's amazing the car control, truck control that these guys have. Everybody's just sideways coming off, and they're just not losing any time.
Loose is fast and on the edge of out of control. Albert Anderson in the chat. Love racing with Brian Rose. Class act. What about Chris Goins? Man, that's got to be tricky there for Mike Fahey running in behind Keenan Kimber. Chris, how much does that break your concentration when the truck in front of you just disappears and then comes right back?
Yeah, quite a bit, especially in these type of situations where you're so packed so close together. You never know where he's going to just appear back. You would hope that he would appear back in the same place that he was, distance-wise ahead of you. But, with the connection, you just never know what iRacing's gonna say where you should be, where you are, or whatever. So, I mean, I've had guys appear inside my truck at one point, and it can cause some of that phantom damage too if you're unlucky and really mess up your race long term.
Cole Ansley was taking a shot there at Stephen Luttrell to try and take that 9th position away. Got alongside. Truck wiggled a little bit on the bottom, washed up the track just a bit. They didn't make any contact, but Luttrell able to hang on to the position over the 86. Albert Anderson, in reference to my question about Chris Goins, he goes, he takes me to the woodshed too often, but he's a good guy.
Don't let Albert fool you. He's up there fighting for a win every week. He's getting crazy fast. He's lights out at super speedways, but he's getting a heck of a lot faster everywhere.
Yeah, we've called Albert Anderson home to victory a few times here on Track Limits Network, so... Will Jones still with the lead, but maybe handling starting to go away on the 46 as Roberts has closed the gap to about a quarter a second. But Drew Blaze able to hang with the 28 as well. So the top three have broken away from Bobby Hamilton Jr., Keenan Kimber, and the like. Steve Warmoth in the chat says you'd think the internet would be perfect in Japan. Lots of blinking going on. It's perfect for everybody else. Maybe he's on a hot spot. So 50 laps complete here, about a lap and a half past halfway at Twin Ring Motegi. We're going to step aside, get our track limit side-by-side break out of the way. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws late model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Twin Ring Motegi, and Brandon Minnick will restart as the race leader. Early troubles for the 81 and a little bit more later on. Got the truck fixed, using a little bit of pit strategy here to get out in front. Picked up the track position. Might have been a fuel-only stop, maybe right sides only. We'll see if Brandon Minnick can get out front here and save this track position. Maybe get lucky to get a caution a little bit later on. Bolt on another set of tires and maintain a solid restarting position later on. But here we go. Green back in the air. Minnick on the gas. I think he was taking a careful, conservative line there in case he spun the tires, but he'll have the lead down into turn one with Will Jones to the outside. Oh, Minnick really loose off turn number 2, and he's going to pound the inside wall. That's going to be a day ender for the 81. A monster hit. Just lost the back of the truck. The 56 of Josh Ingram is also around the wrong direction. Well, Chris, we've said it a lot of times, rights only tends to make the truck looser, and as loose as we've seen these trucks here tonight, that's pretty evident there. Out of turn number 2, Brandon Minnick just comes around, and I think that's going to do it.
Yeah. Unfortunately, that's like you mentioned, that'll end his day here. But I was sitting here thinking on the restart. I know when he spun the first time and came in, I caught him catching tires taking tires on lap whatever it was, 2 or 3 or whatever it was. So I can't quite remember how many sets there were over the wall, but I was wondering if he
3.
was almost maybe okay. I doubt he was out of them, but. It's a tough way to end it for him there for sure.
Yeah, and he was chasing it all the way up.
Did a heck of a job to keep it out of everybody else's way, though. I mean,
I was just
going to
go there
for being able to do that.
Watch the right front tire. Once we change the angle here, you'll see it. He's correcting. He'll straighten it back out because he doesn't want to overcorrect into traffic. He kind of sacrificed himself here.
Yeah.
Obviously, he wants to save it, but he knows at some point it's going to hook and it's going to go in front of the whole field. A veteran move there for Brandon Minnick to not take everybody with him.
Now, Steve, this is one of those situations here where I know these guys just came in for fuel and tires and stuff, but this could put them right at the very tip top of that fuel range. So I wonder if we'll see anybody in the back come in and top off, or if we'll see everybody come down and top off.
I mean, it's not a bad idea, even if you're even in the top 10, because you kind of have to bank on the fact that the way this race is run so far, we're going to get one more caution, which is just going to buy you more laps on that fuel. It seems like guys are going to stay out. Well, maybe not. Colt Ansley's going to come down and bring some other guys with him. Ansley, Greenwell, Corey Bigley, Matt Nicholson.
And, Colt pitting from, P11 or I think that's about where he was. I mean, really a no-lose situation because the worst he's going to restart is going to be 17th, with, everybody else being either laps down or out of the race. So, this could maybe work out in his favor to the end if it does go long green. We'll see. He's going to have that little bit more fuel. He can maybe run a little bit harder if these guys do have to save it all.
He's coming out about 12th. There's a handful of cars still behind him, but a ways. I wouldn't be shocked to see him come down one more time and splash it back up. Well, it is the one to go, so probably not. That was the splash up.
Green flag.
So 40 laps to go here at Motegi. Will Jones has been the dominant truck here this afternoon, but very close on his trail is the 28 of Rodney Roberts and Drew Blaze. Bobby Hamilton Jr. has shown a lot of speed here tonight and quietly working his way closer and closer. The 65 of Keenan Kimber, though plagued with some connection issues here tonight. Hopefully that doesn't create a bigger problem. Still has a solid run to this point. Drew Blaze working the outside on Bobby Hamilton Jr. Bobby gets a little loose on exit. And really, Chris, I can't really think of a time where I've seen the 9 really put it towards the bottom of the racetrack. He's kind of been in the middle lane or higher. The lower you get here, again, progressive banking. Now he goes down to the bottom on the exit to turn number 4, but it gets a lot flatter on the low side of the racetrack.
Yeah, and I think we've seen him in a lot of traffic, and he's really smart racer, so he understands that, especially 1 and 2, if he gives up that bottom, it's a hard pass there on the bottom because you keep up so much momentum on that high side. So he's willing to kind of let those guys have the bottom and get that run and try and keep it. So it's pretty smart racer when he's kind of in a line. He's searching around a little bit. Now he's, like you mentioned, he's kind of moving towards the bottom a little bit now, but we'll see if he can get around Keenan here and or have both of them get up there and fight for this lead.
Will Jones just laying down the fastest lap of the race here on the restart, 36.805 seconds. Steve Luttrell, Jason Steptoe side by side for 9th. A little bit of late day sun starting to blanket the speedway again. Certainly helps with the visuals. Oh, Steptoe into the dirty air, arrow tight on exit at 2, gets into the wall. How difficult is it to lift in that situation, Chris? Obviously, you're a racer yourself. You're trying to fight and run down the 36 there at Stephen Luttrell, but the nose just isn't sticking. Instinctively, you're going to say, I got to go, but the end result is it's going to slide up and get you into the wall.
Yeah, and that's so easy to do with these trucks and how aerosensitive they are, but, it really depends on where you are with track position and point in the race. Early on in the race, you're kind of just wanting to make it through there, so a little bit easier to lift there, but getting closer to the end, we're down to, about 30, 35 to go. It's, you definitely want to get as much as you can, so it's definitely harder to lift. It's also hard to see around that truck in front of you, so you're not really 100% sure if you're going to hit the wall or not until it's too late.
Caution's out again, and I think it's for Austin Grewells. He's quickly in pit lane. And he's got some mechanical black flags, so pretty heavy damage, though we can't quite see it on the 40.
I don't see a lot of body damage there, Steve. I wonder if he maybe too quick of a downshift and maybe money shifted possibly.
Yep, there it is. Saw the smoke puff out the back of the race truck.
I've seen a couple of these guys that want to just downshift a little early and slide and spin around. That was the first one we've seen that was early enough to pop the motor. So unfortunate there for the 40.
Let's listen on board. There it is.
If you watch the RPM gauge, it just peaked out at 8,000 and stayed there for a little while, and just and then shortly thereafter you hear it pop.
Some more takers on pit road. Top 8 have stayed on the racetrack. Corey Bigley, the first to his box. Fuel only stop for Bigley. Long stop. Maybe he's got some damage. Luttrell was a little long as well, 21.23. Dave Wormuth in the chat. It's not an F1 car. Definitely not. They idle about where the red line is on these trucks. And Chris, I mean the real F1 cars, the old V10 era.
Yeah, we're talking late 90s, early 2000s.
I remember years ago the Mobil 1 car swap they did with Tony Stewart and Lewis Hamilton down at Watkins Glen. It was a misty day. It was a little bit of a wet racetrack, but they both swapped their cars. Tony brought his Cup car. Lewis brought a year or two old McLaren. And I was down in the heel of the boot, and it was loud when they fired up the F1 car that was parked in the pits. And for reference, line of sight, it's about a half mile away.
Yeah, it's wild to hear those things live. I think they did a similar thing with, who was it, Jeff Gordon and Juan Pablo at Indianapolis.
Yep. Been lucky enough to get some cell phone video of I forget what era Ferrari it was. It was still a V10, but it was a private session with a early 2000s F1 Ferrari that was running competitive laps at the Glen on a sunny day. Speed trap of 212 miles an hour before the bus stop. That's moving.
Yeah, that's flying. There's
So I think
no dash to set them on either.
I think the GTP cars are only hitting 180, which is still moving.
Green flag.
Never mind that. We're back to NASCAR. Green flag in the air. Late restart for the 28 of Rodney Roberts. Will Jones gets away. Oh, and he's got a problem here getting into turn one. Little contact off the nose of Bobby Hamilton Jr. Jones will get away. Kimber up to second. Rodney Roberts going to have to regather himself. And right now, I'm kind of liking the pit call out of Cole Ansley because he's running sixth.
Yeah, Colt's going to have to do a good job of holding off Drew here, because Drew hit that last stop, so we know he's good till the end for sure. So.
Brian Rose been up in the top 10 just about all race long, running in the 8th spot, going for 7th here on Colt Ansley. Brian in the number 89 Track Bar Media F-150 gets the spot off turn number 4. Stephen Luttrell's going to try to follow him through, but no, Colt's going to battle back on the outside. They'll be 3 wide by the time they get to turn 1. There's room to do it. Colt Ansley, a power move to battle back and not give up 2 spots. He'll hang on to the 7th position. Steve Luttrell working on Mike Fahey. Again for the 9th position. Rose back up to 8th. Ansley 7th. Bobby Jr. 6th. The top 5 reads like this: Will Jones, Keenan Kimber, Rodney Roberts, David Bradford, Drew Blaze. Late move into turn 3 for Rose, and he slide jobs the 86 and takes the spot. Bravo, Brian, but coming back to the bottom, Colt Ansley, a little bit of contact between the 86 and the 89. Colt battling on the low side now, and he'll take it away. Meanwhile, up front, Roberts has taken over the 2nd position from Keenan Kimber and now sets his sights on Will Jones, who's about 3/4 of a second down track from the 28. Just 25 laps remain here at Twin Ring Motegi. Will Jones leads Rodney Roberts, and now David Bradford, who's coming to life late in this race. First time we've seen him in the top 3 this afternoon. Top 2 drivers on the track right now. The top fastest, Will Jones, Rodney Roberts. Jones with a 37.48. Roberts ran a 43. David Bradford ran a 63. Rodney Roberts, the fastest car on track, closing the gap. He's got a 1/4 second off Will Jones's lead here in about a lap and a half. Steve Luttrell now up to the 8th position. Mike Fahey tries to follow him through to take it, but he gets way down the low side of the track, washes up, maybe some contact with Jason Steptoe. Fahey is just wheeling that thing right now, trying not to give up spots. He currently runs 10th. Drew Blaze all but clear of Keenan Kimber off turn 4. Back to the line. He'll have it for now. Kimbrough battle back down into turn number 1. I think Drew might have him here on the exit at 2, and he completes it. He's clear for now, but just inches. He'll have to have the run off. He's got him. There's the deficit, first to second. 4 truck lengths from the 46 back to the 28 of Rodney Robertson. Real loose on entry. Will Jones thought it was coming around. Drove it really deep into turn number 3. But man, it worked because he carried some speed and he gained some distance on Rodney Roberts. Rodney pulls it back to within 3.5 tenths. Chris, is this where the dirty air is starting to affect Rodney here? He seems to be able to get to this point and he kind of hits a bubble.
Yeah, about that 0.4 of a second mark is kind of where you really start to feel it. You feel it a little bit, but further back. But definitely as you get closer, you definitely have to, kind of pick how you want to approach the corners. And if that car in front of you is running that line that you want, you either have to figure out a way to run a different line and be as fast, or adjust your entry points and on throttle position in the corner for sure to try and catch back up.
Drew Blaze making a move here on David Bradford. With ease. So Drew Blaze back to the 3rd spot.
One thing we haven't talked about tonight, Steve, is with Drew coming in on lap 64, topping off on fuel and things like that, is with this being an open setup league, you don't really know kind of what, as you see Will getting real slidey off the corner, but you don't know what kind of maybe adjustments that he's made, track bar, wedge, whatever, just to kind of adjust the handling of that truck. He doesn't seem to be sliding or as loose as he was early in the run. So maybe Drew made an adjustment to that to get it a little bit more to his liking and try and gain some speed there.
Will Jones still the quick car on the speedway, 37.92, but I stand corrected. Drew Blaze a little bit faster with a 37.88. Meanwhile, we got Brandon Minnick in the chat, says, I tried. Used a set of tires on lap 2 by accident, so I didn't take tires that last pit stop. Tough break for Minnick. It's just about a win to get back behind the wheel and even be competitive. He still had 2 laps led here tonight. Granted, they were under caution, but he had the pace to compete. Just didn't have the tires. Cole Ansley continues to march forward. He's going to bring Luttrell through alongside Bobby Hamilton Jr. Cameron Hageman making some slow laps on the bottom of the racetrack. I think he's just trying to gain a position or so. He's shown 14 laps down. Austin Grewell, the next position behind him. He's about 4 laps behind Cameron now. Chris Wills kind of stretched it back out here. 6.5 tenths, almost 7 tenths of a second over Roberts.
Yeah, he's still sliding it around as much as he was before. We see Drew kind of closing in on Rodney there a little bit too. I wonder if Rodney kind of pushed it hard to catch back up to Will. Maybe heated up those right side tires, heated up that right front, and maybe he's kind of starting to struggle with the handling there, especially in the slow 3 and 4.
Drew's currently the fastest in the top 3 right now. 14 to go. I think he's got time. If he can make short work of the 28 and then focus on running down Will Jones, I think he can get there. But as we always say, getting there is one thing, completing the pass is another. So Will's got to be loving this, though, with Drew Blaze rolling in on Rodney Roberts. Going to create a battle, which is going to slow the both of them down by comparison. With the laps winding down, it's just going to be a bigger buffer for Will Jones to not have to worry about what's in the rearview mirror. He can just continue to race the racetrack. Steve Luttrell now one position away from a top 5 as he looks at the back bumper of Keenan Kimber. He's about a 10th of a lap quicker the last time by of the 65. He's right there on the tailgate. Takes a look to the inside, a block by Kimber, or was that just his racing line? I don't know. It looked like a block to me, Chris.
Yeah, it definitely looked like he was just trying to run a defensive line there, especially when you see him get in the corner and kind of wash up the track. I think he just tried to slow the 36 down as much as he could and just overcooked the corner because of the entry angle.
Luttrell now fully side by side with Keenan Kimber. Colt Ansley, Brian Rose may try to freight train around, but no. Colt swaps up the racetrack in behind the 65. Now changes lanes again. Will ride behind Steve Luttrell. He's got a fast truck, and here comes Brian Rose making a move. Here we go. About as close as you can come without causing a big wreck.
Yeah, that 86 and 89, they just can't get away from each other tonight.
So Luttrell jumps up into the top 5 with 10 laps to go. He had to do it. There's some fast trucks behind him. He wants to put some breathing room between him and Colt Ansley, Brian Rose. Keenan Kimber may hold them up for a lap or so, but Colt's not going to waste a whole lot of time trying to get around him. And Keenan Kimber's on pit road, maybe out of fuel. Truck's still running. Top 3 are right at the edge of their window. This could get dicey. Said 37 to 42 laps on a tank of fuel. Top 3 drivers have yet to see pit road in 37 laps. It'll be 38 when they cross the line, so we could have a fuel concern for at least our top 3. Drew Blaze, Stephen Luttrell, good to go all the way to the end. Colt Ansley looks like he's okay as well. So is Brian Rose, Jason Steptoe, Matt Nicholson, Corey Bigley. That's your top 10. I don't know, Chris. You got to wonder who's waiting for a caution, who is saving. Roberts ran a 38.60 to Will Jones 38.42, so you got to think that Will might just be out there pushing it, hoping he gets that yellow.
Yeah, he doesn't show any signs of conserving any fuel now. I mean, he's, you know, like you said, he was 0.2 faster than Rodney, and I mean, him and Drew basically ran the same lap time, 0.03 of a second difference. And we know Drew's good to go. Looks like Bradford fell back to 4th. I wonder if he's saving a little bit of fuel, or if he had a issue, you know, kind of getting up behind Roberts there in 3 and 4.
We were told at the beginning of the race, 42 laps, the max distance on a tank of fuel, with 6 laps to go. Will Jones has 40 laps, so does Rodney Roberts, so does David Bradford. Back to the line, Will Jones, 5 to go. Been a dominant run for Will today, 52 laps led. Will certainly lock up the most led. Some bonus points to boot. Keenan Kimber, after making his stop, back to 14th now, 1 lap down. Looks like Mike Fahey made a pit stop as well. Lap traffic helping Will Jones as well here. 1.1 seconds now the advantage with 4 laps to go. Bobby Jr. making a pit stop on lap 86 for fuel. And here he comes from the race lead, coming to 3 to go. Will Jones on pit road. Rodney Roberts will follow him in. David Bradford stays out. He will become the new race leader. Does he have enough? They all came down at the same time. Bradford may be able to save a little bit better than Jones and Roberts. And Rodney Roberts with a black flag. Too fast on entry. So Will's going to put at least rights on here, plus the fuel needed. It'll be a 4-tire stop for the 46. Bradford stays out again. He's going to try and run this to the finish. Shake up at the front of the field. Bradford leads Drew Blaze. Steve Luttrell now running 3rd. Cole Ansley 4th. Brian Rose in 5th. Change of position behind them between Steptoe and Matt Nicholson. Lap and a half to go for David Bradford. Can it be win number 5 for the number 13? Stays out. 1 more to go. White flag in the air. Now, if you're Drew Blaze, Chris, and that thing ahead of you coughs and he's coasting into turns 1 and 2, what do? You just try to be ready for that to happen?
Yep, absolutely. You just pay attention, and if you see any type of off-pace movement, you just have to try and do your best to avoid it.
Top 5 all in frame into turns 3 and 4 for the final time. David Bradford started 5th here. These are the first laps he's led all day, but he has stretched the fuel to the very bitter end, and I think he might be running out. Coming off the corner down the main straightaway, but across the line first, it's David Bradford. Stephen Luttrell will settle for 2nd as he sneaks by Drew Blaze, who also might have run out. I don't think that was the case, but either way, it's Bradford, Luttrell, and Blaze, your top 3. Cole Ansley, Brian Rose will round out the top 5. And after leading only 3 laps here tonight, Bradford will win it in Japan. For win number 5. Chris, I think he's out of gas.
Well, we'll never know because he usually doesn't do any celebratory burnouts, does he? I don't think I've seen him do any yet so far this season.
I feel like that's... No, it's running. Well, maybe not.
I was sitting here thinking, I was wondering if he's going to give us burnouts, and I realized it's Bradford, and he typically doesn't, so...
Well, with that, we'll
Heck of a
step
job.
out. We'll get a break out of the way and have our top 3 in the booth after this. Stay with us. We'll be right back. Spartan Transportation and Spartan Logistic Management is your one source for all your shipping needs. 53-foot dry van shipments, auto transport shipments, full-service in-house brokerage, drop-lot facilities, just-in-time deliveries to all auto manufacturers, facilities in St. Louis, Missouri, Kansas City, Missouri, and Indianapolis, Indiana. Spartan Logistics LLC, proud sponsor of the IROC Series, Kyle Steffens UMP Modified and Silver Crown Driver, and Gordy Gundaker, World of Outlaws Late Model. Visit us at spartan-logistics.net or find us on Facebook.
Need insurance coverage that's built for speed? Frank Yea's office in South Charleston has your back. Whether you're blazing down the highway, protecting the home you've built, or setting up a legacy for your family, we've got the coverage you need. Auto, home, life, fast, simple, and made for you. Scan the QR code on your screen now to explore all our services and start a free quote today. Lock it in, save it for later, or call us at 304-744-7700 to get started.
Back at Twin Ring Motegi, the Rising Sun 145 in the books, and David Bradford locking in win number 5. The fuel-saving king? Is that fair to say? We're going to find out. We'll see if we can talk to our race winner here, David Bradford, pull him up into the broadcast booth and get a word with the driver of the Red Bull number 13. David, it's Steve and Chris, the track limits. You got us?
Yeah, I guess.
David, I don't know how you did it, man. 5th place qualifying effort, not too shabby. Top 5 is always a good thing, but didn't see too much of you out in that top 3 until the latter stages of this race. And then all of a sudden they start dropping like flies, running out of fuel. Rodney Roberts, Will Jones having to come down with a few laps to go. You inherit the race lead, but Your last pit stops were the same as theirs. What were you doing differently to save fuel?
Well, on that last run, I finally got an adjustment made where I could actually drive the car how I wanted to, but it was very hard to pass here. Even when you nailed it just right, it was real tough to pass. So I was kind of looking at the numbers. That last caution, we were all debating, whether do we come down or not. And we decided not to, and then I decided I couldn't get to the front, no matter how hard I was trying. So down in 1 and 2 where we were lifting a lot, I just, rode on the clutch till halfway around the corner. And that's what got me there. I probably started doing that with about 20 to go and just made it to the line.
Certainly went the furthest distance on a tank of fuel over everybody. We thought 42 laps was going to be the max. You certainly went past that. En route to your 5th win of the season. Can you carry some of this momentum into Nashville Superspeedway next week? You're pushing for a 50% win percentage right now.
Well, next week I get the weekend off. I'm going to take the family to Disney World and stuff like that, so you guys won't see me. But hopefully one of these Bradford Aero Works trucks can go ahead and get it taken care of.
All right, so David's going to front load the win column before he goes on vacation. Not a bad strategy. With that, enjoy the vacation. Is that something that's going to be beneficial or detrimental to when you come back, taking a week off?
Oh no, this group of guys I'm working with, man, there won't be any slack. They'll pick right up where I left off. When I come back, I'm going to Disney this weekend. I'll be back probably Thursday or Friday, and I'll check in on them those days because I'm going to Daytona the following weekend, but I'll be back for Sunday's race.
All right. Well, David, congratulations. Picking up win number 5 here at Twin Ring Motegi. Who do you want to shout out to?
Got to give a shout out to my buddy Bobby, man. He just became a grandfather yesterday, so congrats to him. Got to say thanks to everybody that watches. That's my uncle, my dad, sister, wife. She's even watching now, so you're doing a good job, Steve. How'd you like them overlays?
You got to love it.
All right, man. Sounds good.
All right, David. Thanks for talking to us, man. Enjoy the vacation. We'll see you at IRP.
Thanks, guys.
David Bradford, race winner, 5th of the season. Going to take a little vacation here at Miss Nashville Superspeedway, but should be back behind the wheel at Indianapolis Raceway Park here in a couple of weeks. Now we'll talk to the runner-up. Golden Chef's boy themselves, Stephen Luttrell, our P2 finisher here tonight, had the car set up, or the truck for that matter, set up to be tight at the beginning of the run. At least that was the plan, and it paid off in the end. Got around Drew Blaze, coming to the start-finish line. The 9 gets into the fence, and the 36 takes full advantage and comes home P2. It's Stephen Luttrell. Steve, it's Stephen. Chris in the booth. You got us?
I do. How's it going, guys?
It's going good, Steve. Congratulations, man. A solid run here today. You seem to be doing a lot of work behind the wheel of that number 36 truck here tonight, battling with a lot of guys, especially here late on the low end of the top 10. But guys start running out of fuel, and then it's go time. You saw 3rd position. You got to 3rd position. And you're like, yeah, I got to get one more. And you didn't quit until you came across start-finish. Walk us through those closing laps in the battle with Drew Blaze coming down to the checkered flag.
Yeah, I haven't had a win in any league that I've run in since, I don't know, late March sometime. So I was thinking back to what was I doing different, and I was saving tires more. So slow and steady wins the race, I guess, and I've just got back to saving some tires and holding them till the end and not being real hard on them and pushing towards the later age of the tires, but yeah, that was fun. I just, every lap we came around from about 8 to go on, I just waiting for the 13 to pit. Just 13 pit, what are you doing? And he never did, and ended up having just enough fuel. But yeah, getting Drew right there at the end, I did not expect that. I just kind of rolled 3 and 4 a little bit quicker than he did, and I was able to stab the gas coming out of 4 and just barely got him. I stuck my tongue out to make sure.
Well, a job well done here at Twin Ring Motegi, a very unique racetrack for this schedule. We go back to a little bit normalcy next week. Nashville Superspeedway, another big track. How do you feel about maybe backing this one up here with another top 3 finish or maybe even a win?
Oh, that'd be great. I really like Nashville. It's a fun track. I'll just make sure that the guys at Golden Chef set me up with a good one, and like they always do, obviously. So we'll go in there and give it our best.
All right, Steve. Well, job well done, man. Who do you want to thank?
Well, I got to thank you and Bradford for putting on the league, and my dad for being on the box with me, and Golden Chef Speed Shop for the setup. Thanks, guys. Always fast. Always getting me up front now up here at this league. So, and everybody out there watching, thanks.
Stephen Luttrell, runner-up here at Motegi Raceway. Next, we'll talk to third-place driver Drew Blaze. Had a fast race truck, had the ability, but David Bradford said it best. Just so tough to pass here tonight. Got taken advantage of a little bit there, coming down to the start-finish line. It was clean, but, man, it was crazy to watch. We'll see what Drew Blaze has to say about it. Drew, it's Steve and Chris in the booth. You got us?
Yes, sir.
Drew, congrats, man. A great run here this afternoon. A third-place finish to show for it, but you led some laps. You were up in the top 5 most of the afternoon. What was the difference maker here tonight? Was it tires? Was it fuel? Was it difficulty to pass? What was really the biggest importance for success this evening?
I feel like it was kind of a mixture of everything. I was trying out some different lines, trying to get some clean air, and on that last pit stop that I took, I didn't take any tires and just kind of covering my bases for fuel and making sure I could, have tires if we had a caution. And I don't know, I could have gone for the home run play and taken all 4 and just went for it, but I decided to play it safe. And I mean, I'm still happy with where we finished, but yeah, definitely a unique track. It's very difficult to pass if the guy in front of you knows what he's doing. So, but it was a lot of fun.
Well, it was an entertaining one to call here from the booth. We move on now. Nashville Super Speedway next week. What do the LSR boys have in store for the PSRA field as far as you guys maybe picking up a win?
Yeah, we're just gonna, do what we've been doing, and we've been testing a lot more and trying to get things going here. And I've been kind of catching up with setup stuff. I feel like I'm on the right track, almost there, but still got a few things to learn and iron out. But we're getting caught up on these trucks. They're tricky.
All right, Drew. Well, congratulations, P3 finish here at Motegi. Who do you want to shout out to?
Yeah, I just gotta shout out my whole team, Lone Star Racing, all my guys. Couldn't ask for a better group of guys, and just they help out in different ways, and everybody kind of has their own role. And yeah, just shout out to those guys. Shout out for you putting on the broadcast, and David for putting this on. It's been a lot of fun so far.
All right, Drew. Well, thanks for talking to us. Good luck next week.
Appreciate it.
Drew Blaze, third-place finisher here at Twin Ring Motegi. That'll do it for the interview portion of tonight's broadcast. Let's take a look here at our race results. We talked already to David Bradford, brought it home P1 with a fuel strategy. Stephen Luttrell drove it through the field and finishes second. Drew Blaze was third. Cole Ansley, some strategy behind the 86 team this week as well. He finishes fourth. Brian Rose, a solid top 5. Matt Nicholson battled back. He was involved in some incidents early on, but didn't quit. Hung in there, finishes 6th. Jason Steptoe comes home in the 7th spot. Corey Bigley was 8th. Josh Ingram 9th. Chris Lannis, kind of the same story. He was around a couple of times, maybe a little bit over excitement when it comes to downshifting into turn number 3. Spun it around a couple of times, but hung in there as well for a top 10. Alan DeFries was 11th. He was around as well. He hung in. Keenan Kimber 12th. Mike Fahey 13th. Bobby Hamilton Jr. 14th, having to make a late pit stop for fuel. Rodney Roberts, same story in 15th. Same for Will Jones. Cameron Hageman finishes 17th. Austin Grewell will come home in the 18th spot. Brandon Minnick led a couple of laps here tonight in his return to the PSRA Truck Series. Ended up wrecking on some old tires later on in this race. He'll finish 19th. Vincent Short will take home 20th place honors. 21st finisher was Mark Truxell. Not happy with the bad luck this season. Hopefully we can see him back here at Nashville. Peyton Wagoner was 22nd. Frank Griffith, 23rd. Ken Couch was 24th. And last but not least, the 33 of Will Hewitt will take home 25th place. Finishing credentials. Credit? I don't know. 92 laps down for Will Hewitt. Definitely a tough race for him. Well, Chris, it was a good one. I know the guys don't necessarily like tracks that are hard to pass at, but they do make it entertaining. Obviously, we turned this one into a fuel mileage race, but I think all in all, I'd give this one an 8.9.
Yeah, it's a fair assessment here. We had a little bit of everything. We had some calamity with some stuff early on. We had lots of good racing, 3-4 wide sometimes. We had some fuel strategy there at the end. So I think this has checked all the boxes, and hopefully they can keep up the momentum and do it again next week in Nashville.
Certainly looking forward to it. Nashville Super Speedway next on the schedule for the PSRA Truck Series. So tune in here for it next Sunday night here at Track Limits Network. If you're looking for more, tomorrow night, 4Wide Motorsports Truck Series will be live in race number 2 at Echo Park Speedway, the old scan, 2008 version. Tuesday, IROC Challenge Series back in action at Daytona, race number 1. And Thursday, also race number 1 for the Golden Racing League. It'll be the 87 Cup cars at the old North Wilkesboro Speedway, a very unique league that's going to be running 4 different iterations of the Cup car over the course of the season. I think they're running the 87s, the Gen 4, the COT, and then the next gen. So that's going to be a fun one to call throughout the course of that 10-race schedule. So tune in for it. Lots of fun things going on. I want to thank Chris Goins jumping up in the booth as always. Hopefully we'll have him or Zach Millett available next week at Nashville, but to be determined. We'll get it figured out. Thanks for watching, everybody. We'll see you at the next one. Have a good night.